By now we all know that there will be a reboot of the Power Rangers franchise in 2026, and although this is not a confirmed date, this is what the rumors say. What they haven't said yet is about how the reboot will be, since the previous reboot had a structure, but this is a new project that has no relation with the reboot that they were going to create previously. It is for this reason that we can think that this new project can take any path, and one of the ones we are going to analyze today is the Mighty Morphin reboot. In 2017 we had the first attempt of a reboot, and in this movie, they used the Mighty Morphin team. Basically, the idea was to create a new story of this team and look for a way for a more mature audience. The reality is that it wasn't a bad movie, but it didn't work as a Mighty Morphin reboot, and creating a new story of such a beloved team is very complicated. Another movie that was with the Mighty Morphin team is the 1995 movie, and although this movie is not a reboot, it was not part of the canon either. This means that they could have created any story very different from what we had already seen in the TV series, but despite this they managed to keep all the essence of Power Rangers. This movie had one of the best stories, and creating a new villain was a great idea. Another thing they did well was to create some very appropriate suits for the Rangers, because they were very similar to the original suit, but they changed all the material of the suit. I believe that, if you are going to do a reboot of such an iconic product like Mighty Morphin, then the best thing you can do is to create something quite similar but improving the things that need a change. Exactly, this is exactly what they did in the 1995 movie, as, despite not being a reboot, they improved a lot of things that needed a change. The suits were better, the villain was spectacular, the battles were perfect, the style was just right, and the epic moments were spread throughout the movie. So, if this movie was so perfect, why didn't they ever make other movies just like this one? In my opinion, I think they should have created a sequel to this movie, or at least created other movies with the same positive things. After having explained all this, let's go to the main topic of this video, and that is the idea of the 2026 reboot. Even though many fans don't want a Mighty Morphin reboot, the reality is that many companies think this is the right thing to do, since this team is always the one with the most sales. For the companies, sales mean that the product is working, but many of us know that they can create something better if they were to create a new team. Despite this, artist Carlos, who has already shown us how impressive new Mighty Morphin suit designs can be, has created a new design from the 1995 movie. In this design he included the Rangers, the main villains, and also the Zords, which are different from the original movie. We must remember that in the original movie only the Zords of the new power appear, and the Zords of the original power never appeared. However, Carlos decided to create a new version of the original Zords and also included the White Ranger Warrior. This could be a good idea for the 2026 reboot, create a new version of the 1995 movie with new actors and also have some changes. Write in the comments if you think this is a good idea, but also write if you think this is the worst idea they could create. All this thought has no relation with the design that Carlos has done, since it obviously looks spectacular. The opinion we are looking for is to know if Paramount should create a reboot of the Mighty Morphin from the 1995 movie. Let's start by analyzing the suits, one of the most important parts of this 1995 movie, and that in this design have some changes. First, I must say that the material used is very similar to the original suits, and this for me was always something very positive. The Rangers look very powerful using suits with this material, since they look like resistant suits, but at the same time it gives them a lot of flexibility. In this design, the muscles of the Rangers are a bit more pronounced, and this greatly enhances the design of the suits. The helmets also look a little different, but they don't lose the essence of Mighty Morphin and still look spectacular. Something I don't like about these suits is that only the White Ranger has the logo on the chest, and in the original suits all the Rangers have their logo on the chest. For me, this had been one of the best things that those suits had, and I think it is a mistake that Carlos has removed them in this new design. Let's continue with the villains, since something a little strange is that Lord Zed doesn't appear here, and he had the same participation as Rita. We don't know if he just didn't add him to give better composition to the picture, since it is better to have 3 characters because this way he can put the main character in the center. The design of the main villain looks very good, but personally I like the design of the original character better. The design of Rita Repulsa looks spectacular, as here she looks like a real witch from a darker movie and with a plot for a more mature audience. The same goes for Golder, and Carlos has already created several spectacular designs of this character, so it was not strange to see that here he also looks amazing. Now let's talk about the Zords, and this is something quite new, since the only Zord design we had seen from Carlos was the Tyrannosaurus, although I'm not really sure if he had published the other designs at some other time. Let's start with the Blue Ranger Zord, and this Zord has a design that represents that dinosaur very well. We were all used to the design from the original series, but if they are going to give us a new design, then it should be something like this. One of the worst problems with the 2017 movie is that even though the CGI was perfect, the Zord design was terrible. In this new design of Carlos, we can notice the animal that this Zord represents, but at the same time it still looks like a living machine. The same goes for the Tyrannosaurus, and although the design of this Zord in the 2017 movie wasn't that terrible, I think this design by Carlos is much better. This dinosaur looks ferocious, it looks like it has life, and at the same time it still looks like a scary machine. The same goes for the other Zords. Each one represents the corresponding animal very well, but at the same time you can tell that they are living machines. The Mastodon stopped looking like a friendly Zord, and here it looks scary. The Yellow Ranger and Pink Ranger Zords also look spectacular, and their design is perfect. I think the only negative thing I can say about these designs is that they have a lot of reflection, that is, the light bounces too much on the surface, and that's why they look like a glass texture. This is just texture and rendering tastes, but I think the metallic color parts are perfect. I really like that the eyes are white and that the size of each Zord is more balanced. Let's talk about the White Ranger Zord. And even though it's great to see a new version of the warrior mode, I really would have liked to see the White Tiger. I think this could be a demonstration of what a Megazord design should look like, and even though this is just a warrior mode, it actually looks perfect. This is how the design of any giant metal warrior should look like, with all those details, but at the same time having a coherent design. I think the only thing that can ruin this photo a little is the logo, as it is not a really good design, so let's try it with the logo we have created to see how it changes. Congratulations to Carlos for this great redesign of the 1995 movie, and let's hope that designs like this can serve as an example for Paramount to create the perfect reboot. Write in the comments your opinion about a Mighty Morphin reboot. Like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers designs.